Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again. Welcome again to another episode of the Cordial Podcast. Leo nimeanza direct na kukuwa serious juu yes, boy man, it's 6:30 a.m. on this Saturday. And I know, yes, I am late again. But I have a very, very good story. A very good story to cover up for that because wadau. As you know, I always record on Fridays. So I have this special place where I go and sit down and record the episodes. So yesterday I did as I would, every single Friday. Well, I always sit there every day, Monday to Friday, but Fridays is for recording. And well, I also I also record myself as a bit of journaling kidogo audio. I realized I'm really hapa, so and I can't really write as much, but I'm trying really hard to because it's a culture I want to create in myself. So I created a quote-unquote safe space to to be recording myself. So watu wananionanga nakaa chizi nikijiongelesha kwa simu, but anyway. So yesterday I did the same. I was literally there. And then I took my phone. It was cold, by the way. It was cold. Bana. Maga libidi ninunue Marvin. Wadau. Kwani hii baridi inatoka wapi? But anyway, so I did that. But then I looked across. There's a running track. Just across where I was seated. And I was like, I've been given permission to use the running track. And I've never used it for the past 3 months. So why not start another new culture of every single lunchtime nikienda kula lunch nirudi kama nimechukua laps kama 3 hivi. So I did that, niliacha simu nikasema I will record in the evening when I go back home because I want to see if I can get that space again at home because most of the episodes that I did were basically at home. And then boom, kijana akaenda kachapa laps zake 3. Nikasikia vizuri, nikaingia kwa ofisi tena. Kutoka hapo sasa nikasema nitaenda kurekodia home. Now, in between there something happened. Niliuza earpods zangu jamani. Somebody requested them and I was like, chukua, I'll just go and get some other ones back in town. We. Kumbe hii kwenda hizi ma side quests na side missions za kuuzia watu na kwenda kujinunulia tena ikakuwa kitu long because where I go to buy it took a little bit longer to just find something I would like, which I didn't, but I had to just get something. Hey, sasa nitakaje bila kitu kwa masikio jamani. After kuzoea hivi vyote. So yes, that is the story behind me being late. But I woke up early just to get this done because I don't want it to be past, the time when Kipchoge will be completing his race today. So anyway, welcome guys to another episode after that. And I've realized I'm a really yapper because at 6 a.m. why am I talking this much? Jamani. Jamani. But anyway, thank you guys to everyone who has been listening through my episodes. Doesn't matter if you're following through them. There are others where you can just start from anywhere. Thank you to everyone who's been following my page on Instagram. Thank you for everybody who's been reviewing my episodes, who've been, posting, all these things. It feels really nice to have people who just push you through, Na siku moja tutaomoka. Ama namna gani, my friends? But anyway, what's the funny thing about today's episode? It's because the topic I was going to talk about was pressure. And pressure, of course, from very many different angles, but it was coming from a point where I was sitting the past 3 weeks, and I've been analyzing a lot, especially in my life, and thinking how exactly do I move on to the next, last 5 years of my life. I've been 20 years old, that number 2. And I have been sitting and wondering, what do I need to do better? What do I need to start incorporating in my life? What do I need to start doing? What do I need to stop doing? Especially kwanza hapo kwa stop doing. Tabidi nimeachana part kwa dau. Wow. Mimi nakulanga hapo. Let me tell you, side mission kidogo. Anytime I go to the shop and I see Patco, nitanunua. That's how addicted I am to Patco. Jama Patco. Ile siku nitajifanyia birthday party. Nitaweka 2 packets ka 10 za Patco hapo na juice. But anyway, so, and I was thinking, and as I was recording the last episode, thinking about it, talking about it, that word pressure just came into my mind as a thought, and I realized I have a lot of pressure as of now, a lot of things that I have actually even written down. Some are mental notes, some are literally on my notes book, and I am sitting there wondering, where does all this pressure come from? On a serious note, where does it come from? Because all these memes and jokes we see online of a child sleeping on the couch, or a child eating like 10 mangoes ziko hapo tu zimekelewa kwa meza, and the caption is always when you're not paying taxes, or you have no obligation, there's no responsibility, you're just there enjoying life. And I'm like, wasn't life supposed to be that way, where everything was just there? You don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about you going to work and everything else. But then you realize, humans did the thing. Humans did the thing, and we are here where we have to wake up early. We have to do all these things just to get a living. And there's a lot of pressure, especially for us men. When your world anyway, wacha niache stories za jaba. But anyway, so pressure. What exactly is pressure? When you sit there and think through that word pressure. Unajua naweza fikiria ni pressure ya maji venye inatokanga kwa tap. Mwingine anaweza sema ni pressure ya taya juu. Hiyo ndio inajazanga taya. Anyway, kuna mwingine anaweza sema pressure ni ile ya damu, blood pressure. But all these things just show of a force. They show of a force that is always after you. You don't have to see it directly, but you can feel it. You can feel it. It can be from how a person talks to you. You feel the pressure. It can be how life is just coming faster to you. All those things that you're trying to do, that is pressure. It can be all those thoughts that are coming through of, why did you fail in this? Why did you do this wrong? Why? All those cringe moments that just attack your minds anytime they feel like. That can be pressure. It can be you thinking, why did you make this particular decision at this time when you knew you should have made a better decision? That is pressure. And unfortunately for us, we have to feel the pressure. In everything that we do, we have to feel the pressure. When you're talking to that particular person and you're starting to feel like you're probably attracted or you're interested in this person beyond the usual, hizi memes zako ni kali, just that feeling. When you start feeling, damn, you actually like that person. That is pressure. When you're sitting there in your room, kama sisi wenye tunakaa kwa wazazi, and you see other people creating their own spaces, their own apartments, or people touring around doing these vlogs on how they're looking for houses to move out in, and all these stories, and you start feeling the pressure of wanting to have your own space. That is pressure. When you see all these people who are trying to get better with their lives, people going to the gym, others going to therapy, other people just are always outside, doing all these things, romanticizing their lives, as people say, and you're sitting there wondering, when is my turn ever going to come? That is pressure, Wadau. And that is really what life constitutes about, in these days, because what exactly is the driving force to us when we want to be better at things, we want to be successful? It is all these pressures of life that come about. Well, there are ways that come about where we cannot handle the pressures and we crumble hata bila kufikiria sana. We crumble kabisa, because honestly, life is an experience, a really, really long experience, and you don't know when it is going to end, and it is always starting afresh and afresh and afresh and afresh. There's no like at a shame in starting over again. Every single day, start over again. It will get right one day. And so as I was thinking about all these pressures that we have in life, and then you see, there's one pressure. The past 1 week or 2 weeks, people have been proposing to each other. Sio Olympics, sio kwa ground. Mara mwingine anatupostia venye anaproposia girlfriend yake, and I'm like, Wadau, kwani dunia inaisha na mtuambi? Dunia inaisha na mtuambi. Hamtaki tuambie our talking stages, we love them. Maraka tuifanye tu haraka tumalizane na kitu, tuwekane rings, story ishe, si ndio? Hata hiyo pressure imeanza kunipata sasa. Sasa why are people proposing left, right and center bana? People are finding love na sisi wengine we sisi wengine bana, we just sit here and wonder, were we even supposed to ever experience such things? But to each person their time. I believe in God's timing, however much we as humans try to rush things and get all this unnecessary pressure to gain some things. I really believe, and I'm trying to work on releasing all these worries that I get, because at this point where I'm seated and where I'm at in life, if you asked me in January where I would have been, or where I would be in August, singekwambia ningekuwa hapa. There are many things that have happened the past 3 months that have really pushed me forward in life. And it's funny when you start relating to memes za ati when you reach 25, that's when your blangata wakes up. And I'm like, it actually makes sense, because I'm 25 and there are things where, trust you me, at 21 I wouldn't have gotten them at a single level. There are things at 19 that I'm understanding right now at 25. So as I've said, life is an experience, a wholesome experience, and there's no shame in starting over again, however much the pressures might be onto you. All these kind of pressures. Part of it is from social media. So I actually believe if we didn't have social media, we wouldn't have this cordial podcast. Anyway, on a serious note, if we didn't have social media, I do not think we would have some of these pressures. Because I think people would have concentrated more on the communities that they live around, in their proximity areas. But right now, with social media, we are really focusing on everything that is happening in the world. We have all this information on our hands, and we tend to lose focus on the communities that we are trying to build around us, However much it also propagates the communities around us, there's really a big drift in how community is working nowadays compared to when there was no social media. That is not a lie. But anyway, we are not there. We are handling pressure. And that's one of the pressures that we have to make community wholesome, to have communities that actually serve each other and have people who are moving together through one goal, and finding such communities even for yourself is really paramount. You don't have to be in a community where you don't feel, I don't want to say appreciated, but where you don't feel like you belong there. If at any time you're in a community and you're always feeling you don't belong there, please start finding your own way to your own people, to the people who can actually build you up and not bring in more insecurities in your life. Insecurities ni mingi na zinatokeanga sijui wapi. Unakanga chini unaanza kufikiria, how exactly did you start fearing something, or how exactly did I start acting out this way? And you realize that's an insecurity. It's quite tough, especially when reality hits on you that you have this kind of insecurity and you need to work on it, and then now you start tracing the roots to where it began and all these things, and then you realize you can no longer excuse yourself from things that is just because somebody else did it. No. However much you are the victim of something, you also have to move away from it. Don't let that pressure of having excuses get to you. Yes, because it's a pressure to always find excuse not to work on yourself. It's a pressure. So tafadhali usiongeze blood pressure ukisikiza hii episode, kwa sababu kwa sababu it is a beautiful experience to have life. It is really beautiful. And I'm always seated here when I'm recording and I'm starting to think, I always start to think, 5 years later, because I want to do this for a long time, 5 years later nitakuwa nasikiza hizi episodes za kwanza and I'll be laughing. I will be laughing. And for sure it will be a laughter not out of regret, but out of happiness. Pure happiness. Mi sijui happiness ni nini, lakini tutajua after 5 years. So find me at 30. Uniulize maswali as of how my 25-year-old life was. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, pressure is really mounting upon us, especially for us Gen Zs. Even in recent happenings of the protest and all these things, there are many people who do not understand that it is our future that we are trying to lock into. It is our future that we are trying to build up to. It is our kids that we want them to have a better future, And it's really something that needs to be collective as much as possible. Unfortunately for us Kenyans as of now, we are really divided on what exactly we want. And to a point you have to accept that we are so morally corrupted that we cannot stand up for ourselves when we want a better country for ourselves. Everybody wants to eat apart. Everybody wants to complain, but they still have their own intentions at the back of their head. Our intentions are not the same. And it is quite, I'm sorry to say this, it is quite disgusting that we have different intentions when it comes to our country, when it comes to growth, when it comes to this whole community that we call of Kenyans. But anyway, this period actually felt like it was that time where we were actually going to get freedom and going to see this country becoming better. Well, unfortunately, by the look of things, it will have to take time. But anyway, away from that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening into another episode of Mungai ranting, of Mungai speaking to himself, and of Mungai hoping that you get to learn something in every episode that I put out. And if you do not, tafadhali niambie niachane na hii kitu kwa sababu kwani tunafanya nini? So as always, if you've loved this episode, tafadhali, imagine, Mungai anakuambia tafadhali. You can share it to your friends, you can share it to your family. Imagine, ati family, we hapana, tumia jenzi manzako. But anyway, it has been a pleasure, guys. Thank you very much for listening in. See you next time. And I hope you have a blessed day. I hope you have a blessed week. And I hope your life won't be determined by the pressures that you have, but how you handle the pressures, how you actually see them and handle them. It has been a pleasure, guys. This is Mungai Kang'ong'oi signing out. Tupatane baadaye.